Hello, I've been playing a lot of Cyte-09 recently, mostly on his sniper rifle, and I'm pretty sure this build is about as optimized as you can get with just raw, pure damage. So real quick, I'll just show off his stackless, buffless damage. Sniper rifle is really viable for doing extremely high damage, raw damage. You don't really need priming or anything. He also additionally gets like innate a secondary fire that immediately just gives you 10 cold procs, which will improve your damage as well. It gives you a critical damage bonus, and it's 50%. So using that in conjunction with everything else on his kit is very strong. I'll really quick just start rolling some footage of Cyte-09 with all of his stacks, his crit stacks, and everything. And you can see that the damage gets pretty good. It's about 10 million in Simulacrum. I get higher numbers in regular missions, but overall, it's really impressive and more than enough to get you through any content that you really want to play him with. As long as you're willing to just play his sniper rifle. So the build is 2 Forged Violet Archon shards with electricity, 3 primary strength shards. You can also go for just one of these and 4 strength shards. You don't need to have these Tau Forged. I just do because to me it's worth it. And you can of course make it like cheaper just by using the one single purple shard. This is a pretty good sweet spot, I think. In terms of the actual mods, I'm using Worthy Camaraderie. You can use Corrosive Projection and you will get bigger damage now. The thing about this though is that you're going to need to invest Forma into polarizing this slot, and if you ever want to switch back to Worthy Camaraderie, you are going to want to use an Aura Forma, which is expensive. So I prefer to just have Worthy Camaraderie because this is more than sufficient. Even though the crit chance is not necessarily going to get diluted when you're using it inside of his kit. Prime Sure-Footed can be Handspring, which is a really good alternative. You can also have more power strength, power drip. That it's up to you. This is very flexible. I just use Prime Sure-Footed because it's comfortable and I have it, so I'm going to use it. Rolling Guard is like a must slot for almost any frame, at least for me. You can change this out for adaptation if you, I don't know, think that's good enough for you, or any other mod that you'd like. You could use like Vigorous Swap if you wanted to, like whatever. This is just something that I always use. Prime Flow, Prime Continuity are like pretty much mandatory. You can use the normal versions of these and it'll be fine though. Equilibrium is really good. You pair this with some companion mods that I'll talk about later, which will keep your energy economy very, very good despite having Blind Rage on for the reduced efficiency. And Blind Rage is of course here just for strength. Narrow-minded for more duration. This is the only mod that I have for duration. It's all that I think you need, and with stretch, it keeps your range in a good sweet spot. You have 50 meters of range on your Seek at 80%, and you also have an 8 meter range at 80%, which is not bad for his ricochets, especially since his ricochet count is capped and unmoddable. You can only ricochet to 4 enemies anyway. Umbral Intensify for more strength. You can achieve this with just like a higher forma count, like 7 forma like I have, or you could go for like normal intensify and maybe save a forma. It's up to you. The 14% strength in my opinion isn't a huge difference. In terms of arcanes, Arcane Rage can be whatever you like. You can use Arcane Rise, I just don't have it maxed, and it's also a lower damage bonus. Arcane Rage is good for like more base damage for your rifle, which is nice to have, but it might get diluted. You can use Arcane Steadfast as well if you want to. Just whatever you'd like, whatever will make things more comfortable for you. Arcane Aegis is a good slot too. Arcane Crepuscular is like basically his best in slot. You're gonna need this eventually, but if you don't have Arcane Crepuscular because it's kind of expensive right now, you can use Molt Augmented. It's just gonna become more stacking for you. In terms of subsumes, Cyte-09's kit is like already basically perfect in my mind. He has Seek, which adds like a 8-point damage multiplier. It also has like resupply with an instant reload, so you never have to reload your sniper rifle. His invisibility is really nice, and it stacks to like 70 seconds with this build. it's basically impossible to not be invisible, and you're proccing all of your nice little damage bonuses with Spectral Serration and Arcane Crepuscular, which is very, very strong. Finally, Neutralize, the amazing sniper rifle. This thing is awesome. I wouldn't subsume it off. This build doesn't subsume it off, but if you want to play Cyte-09 as a weapons platform, then you would probably go for subsuming this off over subsuming any. Some things that I've seen people do is like they put some armor strip abilities like Jade's Phantom Eyes, I think it's called, or whatever else pillage that you'd like. In terms of his neutralizer build, this is basically as good as it gets. Semi-rifle cannon on makes it so that you can use critical delay without affecting your fire rate, which is nice. You have damage on this, you have prime cryo rounds, which combines with your electric shards to get you magnetic on your gun, which is going to shred through overguard. You have vital sense for crit damage, primary acuity for the weak point damage and the weak point crit chance. I think this mod is bugged right now too, so that it has like less crit chance than it says it does. Wired is huge. I think this is like very, very important to have. This 60% a headshot multiplier, I'm not sure if it's calculated after all the multipliers, but it is really big damage. Hush is good for quality of life, so that enemies don't run up to you while you're invisible. And Spectral Serration is for more damage while you're invisible. If you want to replace Hush, you can use Prime Chamber if you wanted to, but the buff on that is kind of inconsistent, and if you were trying to keep it up all the time with your 2, with the instant reload, it's gonna eat through your energy, especially with this negative efficiency build. The other thing that you could put in there is the mod that refunds energy on headshot kills with snipers. I just don't have it right now. I'll probably put it on screen. But that's basically the build. In terms of companions, I use Doriga. You can use any companion that you like, but probably the most important mod that you want is Synth Deconstruct. Mystic Bond helps with some energy economy if you really want to, but if you're willing to like maybe risk getting shot a little bit, Duplex Bond adds a bunch of clones of your companion which go around and passively prime enemies and things like that, and this really like it locks down rooms. The thing is though that if you're running like radiation on your companion, enemies are going to be shooting all over the place, and even if you're invisible you might die. Sacrifice is something that I use all the time just to stay alive, so I always keep this around, and I compare that with Manifold Bond and Momentous Bond to reduce and Prime Regen to reduce the regeneration time of my companion enough to just get me up on cooldown. Tenacious Bond is on Doriga and it's procced by Vergless Prime for me. You can proc this with some other companion weapons, but Vergless Prime is pretty easy. You just use like this. You use a Riven with crit chance and you use critical delay, and that procs it. It's a 1.2x critical damage multiplier. I'm not sure when it's calculated, but it's nice to have. In terms of like higher kit, you would just like use this sniper rifle, you would go invisible, you would imbue. Gas is actually really solid, so you would imbue gas and you would prime the enemies with these headshot radar, and then you just shoot at them, their heads. The thing about this build is that a lot of its damage is top loaded into the headshots, so if you're missing headshots, this might not be the best thing to use. For other imbues that you could use, all of the imbues will kill anything, but gas may proc a cloud, which does a lot of tick damage. However, everything that you shoot is mostly going to be dead anyways. Magnetic is already on your gun, so you don't really need that. Viral you can get through your companion or your kit some other way. Corrosive might be nice, but the thing is that for the same reason that Blast won't work, the Neutralizer doesn't have a good status chance, and so it won't proc enough of the status instances for this to like stack up high enough to be very useful compared to something like Gas or Toxin, which will just do a lot of big damage for you. Since his first, or rather his second abilities, elemental damage sounded like Zata's Whisper, the second damage instance, the Toxin makes it work a lot like Toxic Lash. So it's also nice to imbue. You can take your pick. I think that's basically the whole build and its whole explanation. If you want to try this, let me know how it goes. I think it's pretty high investment, but it's also very, very fun. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the recent support. I'll see you guys the next time I make a video.